Welcome back to AWS Partner Unplugged. My name is Sri Raghavan, and joining me in co-hosting duties today is my friend and co-host, Igor Alexeyev. Igor, a great welcome to you.
Great to be here, Sri. We have a fantastic lineup of reviews today, covering everything from the newest generation AI solutions in AWS Marketplace to modernizing 60-year-old COBOL replications. Remember those?
Yes.
It really shows the breadth of what our AWS partners are achieving.
Not to mention the fact that we're showing our ages, Igor, but nonetheless, absolutely you're right. These are very exciting topics. We have reviewed these incredible pieces of content from the AWS Partner Network blog. And by the way, all the blogs will be provided to you at the end of the podcast. You'll see it. And the overarching theme seems to be today how partners are leveraging generative AI solutions and capabilities and cloud infrastructure with AWS to tackle these very complex enterprise challenges. So, without further ado, go ahead.
Yeah, let's dive straight into the rapidly evolving world of AI. We saw an important update regarding the new AI agents and tools in AWS Marketplace.
That's right. The sources highlight that generative AI is obviously transforming all industries. We all know that. But AI agents, we see a greater amount of sophistication the more we work with agents, and they represent the next leap, right? Evolving from what we had as simple chatbots in the past into much more sophisticated systems capable of things like complex reasoning, complex orchestration, and task execution. So these are some of the exciting things that we're seeing depicted in these blocks.
And this new category in AWS Marketplace is designed to be the central source for customers to discover, procure, and deploy these partner-built AI agents and tools. Customers can use natural language search to find relevant solutions for their use cases.
And I think that's really fantastic. I mean, given the fact that we are in the AI age, you shouldn't have to deal with technical queries to be able to get to these kinds of solutions. So natural language processing is fantastic. The sources provide very clear definitions as well, which I find very helpful. AI agents, for instance, are what we think is autonomous software applications that independently execute tasks to achieve specific goals and making decisions based on the data that's been collected with context. A good example, for instance, let's take the case of a contact center agent that handles queries, consults documentations for insurance purposes. Let's say you're asking them questions, they look at the documentations, and they escalate issues to a human in the loop when necessary. So this is a classic example. Of course, there's many more sophisticated examples too that we have.
Actually, I want to double click on the AI agents. This is an interesting topic because specifically you were saying autonomous software. And this is, I think, a paradigm shift in how software development is happening currently. It's a new way if you think about it, we started with linear execution, right? Program starts, program ends.
That's right.
And it's linear and predictable. And then we added some other things, multi-threading, or there are multiple threads running in parallel. Now, a paradigm shift here is that we are giving up control of the flow to an LLM. And it's becoming stochastic, probabilistic process where the flow through the code is driven by input from the user and what your prompt is in your LLM. RAG started where the content was directly affected.
That's right.
But with an agentic system, it's the execution flow that is changing. And then, of course, we have agent tools, which are the building blocks that expand on the agent capabilities. These include categories such as knowledge bases. Knowledge bases is structured information source like a vector store or FAQs, and guardrails, tools that ensure safe and compliant behavior through the filters and compliance checks. And in fact, RAG actually, in my mind, is a subset of agentic system where it's just one of the tools.
That's right.
Where you can execute whatever the semantic search, and it's a tool that does it and supplies the bigger agent that does everything else.
And don't forget, these agents do have a context that they rely on to be able to orchestrate the different tasks and all that, right? So absolutely, for partners who are looking to capitalize on this, this launch offers significant opportunities. They get the global reach to the AWS customer base and enhanced visibility through dedicated categories in the marketplace. And of course, don't forget with Marketplace, our partners get all the other advantages of Marketplace in the form of one-stop shop billing, drawdown, and so many other advantages that come out of the Marketplace. So I'm really excited about this.
Well, you should be launching a SaaS. we should be launching a SaaS. But
Yes.
before we do that, importantly, also AWS announced the 2 new delivery methods. First, the API-based delivery method, which allows partners to expose vendor-hosted agents and tools as APIs, letting buyers access services using API keys without provisioning extensive cloud infrastructure. This method is also eligible for SaaS co-sell benefits, providing incentives for the AWS field for co-selling compliant solutions.
And let's not forget, there are container-based delivery methods as well, which leverage Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, which, as you know, is a set of services that are available out of the box for you to build agents. And now partners can publish pre-configured Docker containers, for instance, which feature frameworks, all the known frameworks like LangChain, LangGraph, and Crew AI, allowing customers to securely deploy these containerized agents and tools directly into their virtual private cloud, the Amazon VPC. So again, that is a very important delivery method as well.
And let's not forget there is a Strands framework. It's a framework
Oh, that's
designed.
right. That's right.
Yeah. You can also develop all of these like with LangChain and LangGraph with Strands framework as well.
Yeah. Man, we could go into a rat hole. There's so many important solutions that have been released. And by the way, for our listeners, we can double click on any of these things. If you want to learn more, reach out to us. But I want to focus on a second, an important strategic initiative that these blogs also refer to. And that is another blog which focuses on the perennial challenge of founders, which is founders take open source, or open source is being transformed into a commercial strategy with AWS. So this is a big part of some of the work we're doing.
Of course, a lot of founders have to think, how do they start? Do they start with an open source product? Do they start and then build on top of the enhancing the community? Or do they open source later in the game? So this particular blog articulates the delicate balance between the open source founders must master, maintain the community growth and trust while building sustainable commercial offerings. But the need for open source is clear. 95% of enterprises use open source software today.
You know, I'm remiss. I will say I didn't realize it was actually 95%. I've used a lot of open source software as well as applications myself. I didn't realize it was 95% of enterprise, so I was shocked when I read the blog. Now, open source, as you know, drives a lot of community based innovation. But having said that, as important as it is, there's a clear gap between free software and enterprise-ready solutions. Obviously, security is not hardened. The availability across scales is absent, and of course, performance is usually not the first consideration. Now, this is the opportunity, we believe, for startups to add value, typically by making the software simpler, more stable, more secure, and of course, highly performant and scalable, often through managed services.
Yes, and that's where the concept of managed open source service, or MOS, comes in. The AWS Global Startup Program, GSP, is specifically highlighted as the source that helps open source startups navigate this commercialization journey, offering specialized resources and expertise.
And we have to tie this back to AI, right? And this is where AI can also be helpful. The blog notes that with the introduction of Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, these managed services can now become building blocks for AI agents. The Agent Core Gateway provides a secure interface layer for agents to interact with managed services. And by doing so, it converts the APIs into model context protocol compatible tools that now agents can discover, can access, but more importantly, use them as context to be able to address specific work actions that are expected of the agents.
And I think this is a general pattern where AWS provides tools and services.
Right.
If you have an idea, you can develop it, and we kind of take away all the boilerplate activities. So in this particular case, startups can build secure agents and enhance their managed services using AWS API Model Context Protocol, MCP for short. server to seamlessly integrate with their products. The GSP helps partners build these offerings and also accelerates their go-to-market strategy.
And the ultimate, based on what we are seeing, as we are seeing within our startup teams as well, the idea is that we want to help the founders shift focus from community growth to enterprise sales. And as a part of that journey, for us to provide comprehensive go-to-market support through joint marketing, technical enablement programs. For instance, we have hands-on workshops, we have innovation days, we have immersion days, you name it, and we have it all via the AWS Workshop Studio. They also use sales acceleration programs. Like Igor, you and I are part of the technology partnerships organizations, and so APN customer engagements and ACE, we call it, an AWS ISV Accelerate, which incentivize our AWS sales teams to collaborate on shared customer opportunities through AWS Marketplace integration. So this is really for us to help our startup teams as well as the founders to make them more enterprise friendly and enterprise caliber solutions.
Well, and now a big switch of gears. We're going to move from the cutting edge of AI back to the system that have been running for 60 years. COBOL. I found the blog on modernizing COBOL workloads with Amazon EKS powered by generative AI fascinating.
Hey, I will shamelessly expose my age. I love COBOL. I started writing COBOL programs in the IBM mainframes and executing those jobs to JCL, job control languages, and all that, right? And subsequently, of course, I graduated into all the rest of the programming solutions. So for me, I consider it a huge challenge. COBOL powers mission-critical systems in banking, insurance, and government, but around 85% of those applications run on outdated mainframe infrastructure that's expensive and difficult to scale. So
Well,
there's your challenge.
yeah, and the solution in the blog presents a replatforming these applications by containerizing them and running them on Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, Amazon EKS for short. This approach preserves the existing COBOL logic while granting access to flexibility and efficiency of modern cloud infrastructure.
And I like the fact that you talked about the preservation of existing COBOL logic, right? Because it's very important. And that's where the beauty of how generative AI can be brought into this to augment it. LLMs, to be very clear, foundational models and large language models are not here to replace COBOL logic. They work alongside it. For instance, an LLM can automatically summarize thousands of daily transaction logs, highlighting anomalies or flagging potential fraud. This can also be used to automate the translation of the raw claim data into formal reports in the case of the insurance kind of use case, right? So it's very important from that standpoint.
Yeah, and deployment details shared by BSC Analytics, the AWS Premier partner, highlighted and showed that they used new COBOL, an open source COBOL compiler, to run the source code directly in a Linux-based container requiring no emulation.
Unbelievable. And the ultimate impact of this, of course, is, what are we doing to help our customers? And what we're doing here is we are simplifying the migration complexity significantly. We ensure that the modernization efforts ensure security using fine-grained access control through identity access management